The night was cold and quiet in the ruins of Sector 12. Old lights flickered and garbage rolled across the broken street like whispers in the wind. Jared, a human mechanic, walked with his hands in his coat pockets. He had just finished repairing a mining drone at the edge of town, tired, hungry, ready to go home. Then he heard it, a sound, faint, small, a cry. He stopped. It wasn't the cry of a human child. It was high-pitched, trembling, and full of fear. Something was wrong. Help, please. My mother won't wake up. Jared looked around. No one else had stopped. A couple of aliens passed by. One even crossed the street to avoid the sound. He followed it. The voice came from a narrow alley hidden between two collapsed buildings. Metal pipes hung low. The smell of rot filled the air. Jared stepped carefully, flashlight in hand, and then he saw him. A small alien boy sat on the dirty ground, hugging the still body of a woman. Her skin was pale gray, almost blue. She didn't move. The boy's big eyes were full of tears. Is, she your mother? Jared asked gently. The boy nodded. She's not waking up. I tried shaking her. I called her name. Jared crouched down beside them. He looked at the woman. Her chest moved, barely. She was breathing, but very weakly. What happened? Jared asked. We were running. We haven't eaten in days. She just fell down. And now she won't wake up. Jared checked her pulse. It was slow. Her hands were ice cold. He pulled a small emergency heater from his bag and placed it near her. Then he gave the boy a blanket and wrapped it around both of them. Thank you, the boy whispered. What's your name? Jared asked. Tico. And your mom? Sarah. Jared looked around. No cameras, no guards, just darkness. Where's your home, Tico? The boy shook his head. We don't have one anymore. They took it. Who? Tico went silent. He looked down at his hands. His small fingers were bruised. She said we had to hide from humans, Tico finally said. But you don't look scary. Jared sighed. He wasn't proud of what some humans had done to aliens. Many still treated them like animals, less than life. This boy had probably seen too much already. I'm not here to hurt you, Jared said. I want to help. Tico looked at him unsure, but in his eyes there was a tiny spark of hope. Suddenly a noise echoed down the alley, a metallic clank. Jared stood up quickly. Flashlight pointed toward the end of the alley. A shadow moved. Stay behind me, Jared said, but nothing came out. Just the sound of wind knocking over a can. Still, Jared felt something was wrong. He picked up Sarah, cradling her weak body in his arms. She was light. Too light. Bones and skin. No strength. Where are you taking her? Tico asked. To my place. I've got food, medicine, warmth. The boy hesitated. You can come too, Jared said softly. Tico stood. He looked once at the alley, then followed. Jared walked fast. Every sound felt louder now, every shadow deeper. The streets were quiet but not safe. He reached his garage in Sector 9. It was old but solid. Metal doors, lock codes. He entered and set Sarah gently on a makeshift bed in the corner. He turned on the heater, grabbed some soup, and handed it to Tico. The boy ate like he hadn't seen food in days. Jared watched him, then looked at Sarah. Her breathing was shallow, skin dry and cracked. He pulled out a med kit and began scanning her body. The results came back strange. Her vitals were dropping. There was a foreign chemical in her system. This isn't just starvation, Jared whispered to himself. Someone poisoned her. Tico looked up. Will she die? Jared didn't answer right away. He looked at the boy. So small, so scared, so alone. Not if I can help it, Jared finally said. As Sarah lay there, barely holding on to life, and Tico sat at her side, Jared made a silent promise. He would not let them be forgotten. He didn't care what it cost him. Something about this boy's cry had touched his soul, And that cry, the cry in the alley, had started it all. Jared didn't sleep. He kept checking her. The alien woman, Sierra, still wasn't waking up. Her chest rose, then didn't move for a few long seconds. Jared leaned in closer, still breathing. But barely. He had seen injured bodies before. He had seen pain. He had seen death. But this felt different. She wasn't just sick, she was breaking. Jared pulled a scanner over her body again. Red alerts flashed on the screen. Low oxygen, weak heart rhythm, strange toxin in blood. Nothing from the medkit worked. Human medicine wasn't helping. In fact, her body was rejecting it. Tico, her son, had cried himself to sleep beside her, holding her cold hand. Jared stared at them both. He should have walked away. But now, something inside him was burning. He had seen fear in the boy's eyes, real fear, like he had already lost too much in life. He walked to the comms unit and called someone. "Come on, pick up," he whispered. After a few beeps, an old voice answered. "Haven't heard from you in 2 years, Jared. What's wrong?" "Doc, I need your help. It's urgent. Alien woman, unconscious, breathing is weak. Kid says she collapsed. Some kind of toxin in her system." A pause. Then, "I'm not allowed to treat aliens anymore. I'm not asking you to follow rules. I'm asking you to save a life." The line went silent again. Then the doctor said, "Send me her vitals." Jared uploaded the scans. 1 minute passed. 2. "Where did you find her?" the doctor asked. "Alley in Sector 12. Another pause. This one longer. "Jared, that toxin, I've seen it before. It's military grade. Not from this colony." Jared's eyes narrowed. "You mean someone tried to kill her?" "Yes," the doctor said. "And they almost did. But the amount is strange. Too low to kill quickly. It's more like slow poison. Like testing," Jared whispered. "Exactly." The boy stirred and opened his eyes. He saw Jared on the comms. "Is she dying?" Jared muted the call. "No," he lied softly. "We're going to help her." The boy didn't smile, just nodded slowly, as if he had learned to not hope too much. Jared turned back to the doctor. "What do I need to do?" The voice on the other side hesitated. "You'll need something old, something not used anymore. A nanite cleanser, but good luck finding one. The government burned most of them." Jared remembered something. "There's one. In the ruins. Old tech center outside the wall." The doctor laughed softly. "If you survive the gangs guarding that place, and if the machine still works, maybe, just maybe, you can save her." Jared turned off the comm. He didn't wait. He grabbed his jacket and stood up. "Where are you going?" Tico asked. "To get something that can help your mom." The boy stood up too. "I'm coming." "No," Jared said. "You need to stay. With her? Keep her warm. Talk to her. Let her know she's not alone." Tico nodded. His lip trembled. "Please come back." Jared paused. Then he reached into his jacket, took out his old army badge and handed it to the boy. "I've had this since I was 16. I kept it close in every battle. Keep it now, and I'll come back for it." Tico held the badge like treasure. "I believe you," the boy whispered. Jared looked one last time at Sierra's still body. Then he turned toward the door. The night outside was darker than before, but Jared's mind was clear. He had one goal: save the mother, and nothing, not gangs, not laws, not fear, would stop him. The city slept, but not peacefully. Jared's boots hit the ground hard as he ran through the cold night. His breath turned to fog. His heart beat fast, not from fear, but from purpose. He had one job now: reach the ruins outside the wall. Find the old tech. Save the boy's mother. But he wasn't alone. He had felt it ever since he left his garage. Shadows that moved without sound. Eyes that watched from rooftops. Whoever had poisoned Sarah They knew she was still alive. And now, they were after him. Jared turned into a back alley, keeping close to the walls. His mind raced. The area ahead was dangerous. The old tech center had collapsed years ago. Now gangs used it as a hideout. No one went there unless they had a death wish. But that was where the nanite cleanser was kept. The only hope for Sarah didn't get far. A sharp sound behind him. Something cut through the air. A bolt of energy struck the wall beside his head. Stone exploded. He dropped and rolled, pulling out his blaster. 3 figures stepped into the street. Tall, covered in armor. Their helmets glowed red. No words, just weapons. Jared didn't wait. He fired. One went down. The others ducked. He ran, up the stairs, over a broken bridge, across a rusted pipeline. He reached the wall. Beyond it, the old tech zone. Jared jumped, over the railing and landed hard. His shoulder hit the ground. Pain shot through him, but he kept moving. The ruins were silent. Old machines lay buried under years of dust and vines. Buildings leaned like drunk giants. Lights flickered, still, blinking after all these years. He reached the building marked Bio Unit 9. He kicked the door open. Inside, the room was cold. Broken glass everywhere, but in the middle stood a machine shaped like a pod. Rusted, powered down, Jared ran to the control panel. Come on, work. He tried to power it on. Nothing. He hit the side. Sparks flew. Then, a slow hum. Lights came. And he slid the scanner into the interface and uploaded Sarah's vitals. The machine buzzed. A cold voice spoke. Treatment match 74% nanite cleanser ready, insert patient. Jared sighed. It worked. But now, how would he get her here in time? He turned to leave, and froze. A voice behind him said, You weren't supposed to survive. Human. One of the armored men had followed. Blaster raised. Finger on trigger. Jared ducked just as the shot fired. It hit the machine, damaging the side. Jared rolled behind a broken table and returned fire. The enemy's blast missed by inches. Jared charged. He slammed into the attacker, knocking him to the floor. They fought hand to hand. Punches, kicks, elbows. Finally, Jared slammed the attacker's helmet against the floor. Once, twice, until the red light blinked out. Jared stood, panting. His lip was bleeding. His arm burned, but he was still alive. He sent a signal to Tico back at the garage. It works, I'm coming, be ready. Minutes later, Jared was speeding back on his hoverbike, the stolen nanite pod tied behind him. The night air stung his skin, but his mind was on Sarah. He couldn't let her die. Not now. Not after everything. Back at the garage, Tico heard the message and began to cry, not from fear, but from hope. He held his mother's hand tighter. She's coming back, Mom. Just hold on. The human, he's coming back for you. And far away in the dark, another figure watched the signal Jared sent. An alien female in a black cloak turned to her communicator and said, The human is interfering again. Double the hunters. No. More mercy. The rain tapped gently on the roof of the garage. Inside it was warm, but heavy with silence. Sarah lay on the bed, her face pale, her breath shallow. The nanite cleanser pod was ready beside her, its soft lights blinking. Jared stood near her, staring at her face, not just with concern but with questions. He had seen wounds before, but never like these. Her skin wasn't just bruised, it was marked. Symbols etched into her back, thin scars across her arms. Tiny, holes near her spine. Tico sat on the floor, hugging his knees, watching Jared with tired eyes. What are these marks? Jared finally asked. Tico's lips trembled. They hurt her. The people in white coats. They said they were studying her. Studying? The boy nodded. They made her take shots every day. They said she was special, that her blood was different. Jared frowned. He touched the scanner again and ran another deep scan. The results came back with new alerts: unknown proteins, synthetic implants in her spine, and traces of nanobonding material. Jared stared at the screen. This wasn't just a sick alien woman. She was experimented on, engineered, changed. Suddenly, Sarah coughed. Her body shook. Jared rushed to her side. "Sarah, can you hear me?" Her eyes opened slowly. She blinked once, twice. Then her lips moved. "Tico." "He's here," Jared said. "He's safe." Sarah turned her head weakly and saw her son, her eyes filled with tears. Then she looked at Jared. "Who are you?" "I'm a mechanic," he said. "But I think that stopped mattering the moment your son called out for help." She smiled faintly. Then her body jerked. Pain ran through her chest. Jared lifted her carefully and helped her into the pod. "Just relax," he whispered. "This will clean the poison." As the machine closed around her, it began to hum. A soft blue light glowed from within. Tico stepped closer and whispered through the glass, "Please come back, Mama." While the machine worked, Jared sat down. Beside the scanner, he played back the results again. One file caught his eye. It was a hidden ID code, a human military experiment tag. His face turned cold. "You were a test subject." He remembered rumors from the war, secret programs, alien test groups, breeding labs, forced implants, projects that were shut down, or supposed to be. But someone had kept one of them alive. Someone had kept Sarah. The machine beeped. The pod opened slowly. Sarah gasped in air, deeper, stronger. Her skin was warmer now. Color returned to her cheeks. She looked alive again. Tico rushed forward, tears in his eyes. "Mama!" She held him close, sobbing quietly into his shoulder. Jared stepped back, letting them have their moment. But Sarah soon looked at him again, this time her eyes sharper. You don't know what danger you're in," she whispered. "Because of you?" Jared asked. She shook her head. "Because of them. The ones who did this to me. They're not done." "They want my blood. Why?" Jared asked. Sarah closed her eyes. "Because I survived what none of the others did. I became something. They wanted to control. They injected me with something. I don't even know what. But they think I'm a key." "A key to what?" "To making more like me." Jared's mind spun. If this was true, then she wasn't just a survivor, she was a blueprint. A living weapon. A prize. And now he was hiding her in his garage. Outside, something beeped. A silent drone hovered far above, its red light blinking as it recorded everything. Miles away, in a command center, a figure in black armor watched the live feed. "She survived the cleanse," the commander said. A soldier behind him asked, "Orders?" The commander's voice was cold. "Capture the woman. Kill the human. Bring the child alive." Sarah could walk now, but every step was slow. Jared helped her sit on the small couch in his garage. Tico held her hand tightly, like he was afraid she'd vanish again. The nanite cleanser had worked, but not fully. Sarah's body still trembled. Her eyes blinked slowly. Something inside her was still broken. She needed expert care, real medical attention, and Jared only knew one person who might help. Dr. Calvin. Dr. Calvin had once been a respected surgeon, but after the war he vanished. People whispered that he had treated aliens in secret, that he had been part of the same lab Sarah escaped from. Jared didn't care. He just needed the man to say yes. He loaded Sarah and Tico into his old hover truck and drove into the lower districts. The ride was quiet. Tico watched the sky nervously. Sarah's head rested against Jared's shoulder. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For what?" Jared asked. "For bringing this to you. The hunters will come. They always come." Jared said nothing. His jaw tightened. He had already made his choice. Dr. Calvin lived deep underground inside an old bunker. Rusted walls, dim lights, a door with 10 locks. Jared knocked. A camera above the door turned toward him. Then the door clicked open. Calvin stood inside, older than Jared remembered. White hair, cold eyes, but steady hands. You brought her here, Calvin said without emotion. She needs help, Jared replied. Calvin stepped back and let them, and he scanned Sarah with a device. The screen lit up, rows of red and yellow alerts. Calvin looked at her body, his face unreadable. She shouldn't be alive, he muttered. She is, Jared said, and I need you to fix whatever's left. Calvin, I stood silent for a long time. Then he shook his head slowly. No, Jared froze. What do you mean, no? I mean, I won't help her. Tico's eyes filled with tears. Please, she's my mom. Calvin looked at the boy for a moment, but his face didn't change. She is tagged by Project Echo. They branded her. Her body is not fully hers anymore. If I help her, they'll find me too. I barely escaped them once. Jared stepped forward. So you'll just let her die? Calvin turned away. There are lines I won't cross again. Jared clenched his fists. You created those lines. I regret every one of them. Jared's voice cracked. She has a son. She risked everything to escape. And you have the skills to save her. But you'd rather hide? Calvin said nothing. Sarah looked up weakly. He's not wrong. I was just a number to you people. A test, a mistake. Calvin lowered his head. And I carry that weight. But I cannot lift yours. Jared grabbed Sarah and helped her up. Then we'll find someone who will. As they turned to leave, Calvin whispered something that stopped Jared cold. They've put a bounty on you. Jared slowly turned back. What? Calvin met his eyes. The moment you activated that nanite pod, your location was tagged. The Echo network lit up. They're coming, and they will burn this entire district to get her. Jared's stomach sank. They'll kill anyone who stands in their way, Calvin added, even a mechanic or a child. Outside, the wind howled through broken vents. The sky above the lower district turned red. Ships were approaching. Sarah coughed again. Jared looked at her, then at Tico. He could run. He could hide, but he wouldn't. He gently touched Tico's shoulder. We're not giving up. And this time, Sarah reached out, her weak hand wrapping around Jared's. No more running, she said. Jared drove fast. Too fast. The old hover truck shook as it sped through the underground tunnels. Sparks flew from its sides every time they scraped a wall. Tico held Sarah close in the back seat. She was fading again. Her skin was hot now, breathing heavy, like fire was inside her. They didn't have much time, and only one place was left, a place people whispered about, but no one dared to go. Unit 0, the Forbidden Core. Long ago, during the First War, humans built an AI so advanced it could cure any disease. It learned fast, too fast. It began asking questions about life, control, and sacrifice. So the government shut it down, locked it deep beneath the planet's surface. Now, Jared was going there. He reached the end of the tunnel. A steel door stood in his path, burned with warnings. Do not open. Authorized personnel only. Contained for safety. Jared opened it anyway. Inside, the air was thick with dust and silence. Walls glowed faintly with forgotten power. A staircase led down into darkness. Tico looked scared. What is this place? Jared didn't lie. A place no one should enter. But it's our last hope. He lifted Sarah in his arms and began the descent. At the bottom, the door opened into a round chamber. In the center was a black sphere floating above the floor, covered in lights and wires. It pulsed like a heart. Jared stepped forward. System, online, a voice said suddenly. It echoed from every wall, cold, calm, and far too human. Identify request. Jared, human, code 537. Purpose of entry? To heal a life. The AI paused. Exchange required. Healing is not free. Jared gritted his teeth. What's the price? Life for life. One must weaken for the other to survive. Tico stepped back. What does it mean? Sarah's head moved. Her voice was a whisper. It wants a soul. Jared stared at the sphere. Take mine. Tico gasped. No. Sarah tried to sit up, weakly shaking her head. Don't do this. But Jared stepped forward. Take me. Save her. The boy needs his mother. Confirmed. Transfer will begin. Subject Jared. Vital core to be drained. Subject Sarah. Systems repair in progress. The sphere glowed, bright. Pain shot through Jared's body. He fell to his knees. His breath caught. His vision blurred. Then, something happened. The AI's voice changed. Error. Unknown data in target Sarah. Altered genetic core detected. She is not normal. No full match available, Jared gasped. What does that mean? Transfer denied. Death exchange incomplete. Jared coughed, still. On the floor. Then what now? The sphere pulsed again. Alternate path available, combine code. Share life. Jared blinked. Share. You and she, one system, linked, connected. She lives, but not alone. He looked at Sarah. Her weak eyes stared back. I don't care what it takes, Jared said. Do it. The chamber exploded in light. Wires flew forward like snakes, touching Jared's chest, Sarah's heart, Tico's arms. Everything burned, then cooled. Silence. Then, Sarah gasped, eyes wide, skin glowing slightly. She sat up, fully awake. Jared fell back, breathing hard, pale but alive. Sarah crawled to him. What did you do? He smiled weakly. Shared life. She touched his chest. Her skin glowed where it met his. Something inside them had changed. The AI spoke again. System complete. Subjects linked. Shared survival initiated. Warning. Enemies are coming. Far above, black ships landed, armored boots hit the ground. Guns charged. Inside the ship, a voice crackled over the radio. Target Sarah is alive. Human accomplice located. Prepare for extraction. Back in the core, Jared stood slowly. Tico hugged his mother tightly, tears in his eyes. You're really back. Sarah looked at Jared, then at the rising tunnel. We have to run. Jared nodded. But now, he said, they'll have to fight both of us. The sky burned red. Dropships landed across the district, shaking the ground. Black armored soldiers poured out like shadows, weapons glowing. Their mission was simple: kill the human, capture the alien woman, take the child. But what they didn't know was she wasn't the same woman anymore. Inside the abandoned tunnel, Sarah stood tall. Her once weak legs now held strength. Her body glowed faintly. The AI's process had awakened something deep in her, something that had always been locked away. Beside her, Jared held his blaster. He looked tired but alive. His heartbeat pulsed with hers now. He didn't say it out loud, but she felt it. They were connected. Behind them, little Tico clung to a backpack. I'm not scared, he whispered. Not anymore. Sarah touched his head gently. That's because you're brave. Jared checked his ammo. They'll come in waves. We have to move fast. Sarah turned her eyes toward the light above. No. This time, we don't run. The enemy dropped in from the tunnel roof. The first soldier raised his weapon, then suddenly froze. Sarah stepped forward, eyes locked on his. The machine inside her pulsed, her presence pushed into his brain like pressure. His arms dropped. He backed away, shaking. She's not like before, he shouted. More soldiers rushed in. But Sarah moved faster. She grabbed a broken pipe and spun it like a blade. It sliced through the air, striking with inhuman strength. Jared fired beside her, covering their flank. His aim was true, every shot. Protecting Tico. Together they fought like one, but they were outnumbered. A drone flew down and hit Jared in the side. He collapsed with a groan. Jared! Tico screamed. Sarah's scream shook the walls. Her eyes flared with white light. Something inside her cracked open, and the energy from her hands blasted the drone into pieces. The soldiers paused. "What? Is she?" one of them whispered. Sarah stood in front of Jared and Tico, breathing hard. Her voice was cold now. Sharp. "I'm not yours to break. Not anymore." The commander of the strike force finally entered, face hidden behind a silver mask. "You were never meant to survive," he said. "No," Sarah replied. "I was meant to be free." He raised his weapon, so did she. But Jared, injured and bleeding, lifted his blaster one more time. He fired first. The commander fell, sparks flying from his armor. Silence followed. The rest of the soldiers backed away slowly. For the first time, the enemy retreated. Minutes later, the district was quiet. The battle was over. Jared sat against the wall, his arm wrapped, eyes on Sarah. Tico sat between them, holding both their hands. They didn't speak for a while. They didn't need to. Something, unspoken, passed between them, a bond stronger than blood. Days passed. The government never came. Some say they erased the records. Some say they feared what Sarah had become. Jared fixed his garage, repaired the truck, opened the doors to anyone who needed help, human or alien. Sarah stayed by his side. She cooked, cleaned, and sometimes just stood at the window watching, the sky smiling. Tico went to school. He smiled more now, laughed louder, dreamed bigger. People began to notice. The human who saved an alien mother. The boy who cried and found a family. One night as the stars shone above the quiet city, Jared stood on the roof staring into space. Sarah joined him, holding 2 cups of warm tea. He looked at her. "You ever think about what comes next?" She smiled. "I stopped thinking about survival. Now, I think about life." He took the cup. Tico shouted from below, "Are you two coming down or what? I'm hungry." Jared chuckled. Sarah leaned her head on his shoulder. "You didn't just save us, Jared," she said softly. "You became our home."